Hey there, folks. Thanks for joining us today. So if we harken back to November for Battle Hardened Portland, which was the very first commoner format Battle Hardened that we've ever seen in the history of Flesh and Blood, it was an amazing event. Over 120 players with 19 different heroes represented out of the pool of roughly 40. But what was very interesting about that event, and why we have this gentleman with us here today, is there was no Prism, and there was no Dromai present, which is very interesting considering the historicalness of where we're at in Flesh and Blood. So Steve's with me today. He's going to answer some questions as to why he suspects that there was no Prism and no Dromai present at the event.
A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando.
Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining in. Steve, man, thanks for driving across town.
Absolutely.
We are here in not the studio, and that's why the sound is just...
Perfect.
Crisp, no echoes at all. The lighting's amazing. But either way, we're here with Steve today, who has historically for the Commoner series here in Portland, Oregon, which obviously led up to our city being chosen as, or at least I should say, I believe us being chosen as the site for the Battle Hardened Portland. I don't think that's a huge leap.
No.
So out of that, what I'm showing across the screen right now is the breakdown of that event. So there were 28 Iras, 22 Icelanders, 20 Chanes, Dash, and then Enigma made the top 5 with Oldhim as a close 6th. Pretty much, for the most part, what we expected going in there.
Yeah.
One thing that was surprising coming out of that is no Prisms and no Dromais at all in the Commoner field. Now, I had actually made the statement headed into the tournament that I thought Prism was actually a solid outside pick because if she could shoot through Swiss, she would probably do very well against those in the top. Now, Brody ended up going to the final with Oldhim, so probably that wouldn't have held.
Yeah.
But even so, 0 Prisms, 0 Dromais. You, as our historical Illusionist Commoner player, why not?
Not an expert Illusionist player or Prism player, but I do have some thoughts, just some thinking points on that. We have them right in here. Number one, I think Prism, just as a hero, kind of attracts a lot of people in the collection world or in the collecting world. They love shiny cards. They love foiling things out. They love their
waifus.
They love the waifus. They love foily heralds. I do too. I see it too. The artwork is pretty amazing on some of those cards. I understand that. But Commoner, as a format, kind of leaves them without those big Heralds of Eruditions and those.
I mean, I see. You're saying on the
stuff. On the extensive.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so
I see what you're saying. I see.
As a format, there's less incentive to go there. So the people that are only playing Prism with maybe that intent or have that, or maybe less incentivized in the Commoner format. Maybe they want to go for someone else, try something else out.
So if I can summarize what I'm taking away, it's that the diehard Prism folks who have a $5,000 deck or whatever it is aren't motivated to play Prism because they can't play. It's not that they can't play shinies. There are definitely foils playable, but they're not playing the shinies.
Yeah, if their reason
I see what you're saying. Okay,
is to be shiny, then of course they're like, well, I'll play something else, or they're not.
Interesting. It's an interesting argument, actually.
Yeah, it's a thought possibly. Number 2, I got number 2 going. Prism is Spectra is the big bad keyword in the entirety of Flesh and Blood.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and
maybe up until Transcend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Transcend happened and all that, and then people forgot about that. Yeah, no, but that was the big bad. So people when they gravitated towards Prism for that, and to be able to, just ruin people's day. They were like, well, I can't do that anymore. I can't do that in Commoner. So they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to do something else. They don't have those tools with them. So that, and people who, and I'm not saying it's wrong to play Prism or be competitive, but people who only chose to play for those reasons.
You play her consistently.
I like her very much, yeah. I play her wrong, but I love her. So if they gravitated towards that, and it's not wrong, but if that was their reason for doing it, and that was most of their reason for doing it, they're not incentivized to do it. For Commoner, they don't have that tool available to them.
So, and by tool, you're talking effectively board state then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that probably transposes over to Dromai by the same argument, because she doesn't have her dragons available.
She doesn't. She only has ash wings, right?
And the Centipais, and
yes,
because she has the 2/1/5 goes. She has the original one, which is Spears, right?
Spears always.
And then she has the 1/5 Centipai, and then she's got the Big Daddy Centipai. Right?
She's got the Centipais, and and those are the big ones for her. Of course, they could always throw the Illusionist attacks. What's the one with the Chimera? Chimeras, all that. And I gotta say, for Commoner, my money's always on Dromai, not because it's the right choice, but because it's my choice. It's and I am surprised. I wish I had gone. I wish I would have represented her. I think she's got a great, she's got she can go wide, she can go, ping, and she can go big, fat, heavy attack. And I love big, fat, heavy attacks. So I'm surprised. I'm very surprised, and I wish I would have come for that reason.
I was very surprised it was not Dromai. Yeah. I think now, in the moment, I was very surprised there was no prisms. But I think now, a couple months removed, I'm probably more surprised that there were no Dromai in the field. Because you do have Rake the Embers. And you have beat me in Commoner on Rake the Embers, where you've pitch stacked and set up a duel. Or maybe you didn't pitch stack, maybe you got lucky, I don't know. But either way, you always dual raked. And I don't know how anybody in Commoner is supposed to stand through a dual rake.
No, dual rakes are big, and I don't remember beating you, but maybe I was 3-in.
Yeah, it never happened.
Yeah. But Dromai, I feel Dromai has a place in this meta, and it's just funny that she, like you said, it's very odd that she's not represented. It's odd that Prism's not represented, but it's the way it is. We've got some more ideas on why. Commoner Prism is fun. I'm reading this. But the tools she's left with the Commoner are perhaps better fleshed out in other classes. Like you said, board state's not available, or the same kind of board state in other formats not available. But she does have big, fat Phantasm attacks. But if you're going to go big, fat attacks, why not?
But aren't your attacks bigger and fatter in terms of rate?
They are. They are better.
They're poppable.
Yes, exactly. They're poppable. So it's the risk, or it's the. So it does leave you needing Dreamweavers, taking an arm. You've got the
new, what is it, Reprimand out of DTD, right? Isn't Reprimand the one that the blues -1, the yellows -2, the reds -3? So you play the blue yellow. It's an instant. It's almost a better. They're not exactly the same, but it's a better blinding beam.
True.
Right?
Yeah, it's a much better blinding beam. Yeah, those are tools obviously there, and of course yellow that helps you. But instants, I'll say this: instants always tend to block me up with Prism.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, actually, that is the one advantage to blinding beam, is that you can use it defensively, and I think Reprimand can only be used offensively. Right?
Yeah. I felt like it was fair. It was a great card. I was like, I can't wait to use this. And I think I used it once against you and never again. But it is, it's a great card. But it was clunky to me. So what I mean is, it does make you have to play around only making Phantasm work. Not too hard. Triumph is common, right? Oh, Herald of Triumph. Am I correct?
No, Triumph is a rare one. Yeah, Triumph is the -1. Right?
Yeah, that's right. I was without Triumph.
Yeah. You only need to run. Yeah, you only need to run yellow 6s.
Yeah.
That's why Raging Onslaught and the creep thereof has always been good, because Triumph doesn't exist. Yes.
Yeah. And anyway, so that leaves her in a different spot, a fair spot, but it means that if you want big attacks, and I guess you are correct, they are on rate. I don't know, Brute might be more the kind of thing, or Guardian even. I don't know. It's not exactly the same, but it's.
So I said but, and it's not a but, because I'm not arguing with you. I just want to point out, right, if we actually look at the top 5, right, we had pretty much what we expected in the top, which was Ira. roughly only there's probably like 20 different Ira builds, but they're all functionally the same, but only about half of them use poppers, right? You have some that use Stony Wootenhog and but like
Finals.
Surging Militia is a 5.
Finals. Yeah, finals are rares, right?
Well, no, it is. It's common now. It was reprinted in I think it was Rosetta.
Oh, you're right.
I'm positive it was Rosetta actually. But either way, Chane doesn't use any 6s. Icinder runs runs Bullet. She runs Wounded Bull and Findles.
Yeah.
But Ira, only half the Iras run poppers. Dash runs payload, and then throttle, and then some of them run rev up. So, I guess you have 6-ish 4 to 6 poppers in roughly half of the decks in the top meta.
Yeah, and these are natural poppers. These aren't
natural poppers.
Yeah, these aren't just like, oh, I better throw them in. These are like, no matter what, they're going to do well for me, like a payload or something. So this doesn't conflict with a lot of plans.
Actually, my argument when I started this line of thought was she actually is really well positioned against the top, but now that I'm thinking about it, the only one she's really well positioned against is Chane. And when Icelander or Enigma, because Illusionist can't pop but I don't believe Enigma is running any poppers actually.
No, I don't think.
Oldhim obviously is just by default, but.
It's a weird spot for her to be in. I wish again I had been there, and maybe I should have brought Prism just to test it out. Maybe I would have been up there with all those Iras. You never know.
Yeah. Do you think not. Though? Do you think that because your point about the instance is well received? Because I've had that problem as well. Because you're playing Angelic Wrath because it's a +4 or a +3. Because
you need the hit. You need.
Well, you want to pump. When you can actually get one through, you want to pump it, right? So you're running those, and you're right. So if you're running that and pummels and other stuff, like you can kind of get your hand gunked up with like a really crappy block situation. That's a fair point.
And the way I play it, again, it's not the competitive way to play. It is the go hard and crash hard.
What is the competitive way to play it?
Oh yeah. I guess we don't know. Like it's not
right.
There. Maybe
as far as we know, you have the highest performing Prism deck in the world.
I'm going to claim that title.
No one's actually saying that. Just chill your
calm
words.
down, internet. But yes, I am the Prism and Dromai expert anyway. As far as Commoner, but yeah, that's the kind of the way. I guess people naturally maybe just gravitated toward be like, oh, okay, well, if you're just throwing attack action cards, then probably, like you said, probably Ira. Probably is the Ira, like where people landed if they just wanted to throw attacks without too much like combo, or they were just like, no, Ira has the natural, just like everything will work out if I do it such and such way. Ira's fantastic. Another idea, you guys can yell at me if this is wrong.
They will. Don't worry.
Yeah. Commoner as a Commoner. Commoner's such a great format. The way, at least what my experience in Portland has been, nothing but welcoming to anyone, somebody trying out something new, or returning after pause in the game or anything. And I guess just the openness and the willingness to sit down and be like, oh yeah, I'm trying something new. This is just
I see.
Something I threw together. They're not trying to bash someone's head in and send them home or send them packing or whatever. Anyway, all that to say is Prism is kind of the big bad of Fab's history, I think. Even more, Starvo and Prism, perhaps.
She's been a consistent gatekeeper.
A consistent gatekeeper. Yeah, it's a better way to put it. Even more so than just like being like
whether it's a feel bad or not depends which side of the spectra. See what I did there? You're on.
Very nice. Very nice. It's a different experience even than Starvo, who can just go hard. But she is a gatekeeper. That's the best way to say it. So when someone is playing at a Commoner event, at least the ones we know of, they're maybe less likely to throw her on the table because they're expecting new players. And new players are going to say, who's this? I've heard of her maybe. I don't know. already don't like sitting across from her. So maybe honestly, they're just trying to be beginner friendly. That's my.
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument at a crawl, but not at the Battle Hardened.
Of course, at a Battle Hardened, you have competitive people. That's just
right. I mean, if we're being honest, Oldhim is very much frowned upon at our Commoner events, right?
Because Commoner,
because nobody wants to play a 37-minute Commoner game, right? So. But yet we saw him highly represented. And if you look at where the competitive, again, and that's not to say the competitive folks who did well in this care about Commoner. They just care about winning, whatever it is, right? And cheers to them.
And they're fine to.
But that's why we saw such. So if we go back, the Friday event, the Saturday morning event, the gold foil event, saw only a handful of Icelanders. Whereas the Sunday event, when we had folks who were in the calling scrubbing out and then moving into the Commoner, we saw a huge percentage difference in Icelander because the competitive players wanted to move towards that range, right? So we need to be careful with the distinction of what we would see at what we collectively, I mean, the vast majority of people who play Commoner, again, this is the first competitive Commoner event, the vast majority of people who play it are not trying to win money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need to keep that in context. So I think you have a fair point that a lot of people, because of the feel bads of Prism, maybe don't want to. With where she's at in the meta, I don't honestly know that you should feel bad bringing her to a Commoner. In fact, I think you should, because you should do whatever you want to do in Commoner.
Hell yeah. And again, my thought was more like people thinking, oh, I don't want to, I don't know, scare them away with the scary Prism as soon as it got. But again, Battle Hardened is different. It's not a crawl. It's a competitive event.
Yeah.
It was just a thought that I had.
No, I think it's a fair thought. And I actually want to backtrack on something I just said. I think the issue with Prism isn't that you're going to sit down with Prism and crush somebody. I think the issue in something like a casual Commoner with Illusionist in general is Illusionists as a class have the most polarizing matchups of any other class in the game.
Without arguments.
You're either going to sit down and throw 14 at somebody, or you just lose because they pop you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's even amplified in Commoner because of the limited card pool.
Yeah.
If you run up against a Brute, you run up against a Guardian.
Yep. Good game. Good game. It happened. Right. Whatever.
Yeah. So I think that's worth noting here.
Yeah. The fact that it is worth noting that, like you said, there's 7 in the top 5. There's 7 are represented with Enigma.
Well, you're talking Illusionists in general.
Yeah, just Illusionists in general.
With being Enigma. Yeah.
Yeah. So she must have pulled in the people that liked board states, right? In particular.
So what you're saying, she served as of the people who did want to bring Illusionists to the event, they were like, well, I'll go play Enigma.
This is the way to do it. I can do it effectively, and Spectre's not there, but it's fine because I got 8 different wards.
Yeah,
and it's fine.
Yeah,
those are the arguments for that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, not interesting. I mean, it makes sense. No, it makes sense to me. Still, I'm still really surprised. Like if you look at the field, right? Like I actually think Benji. So looking at the bottom, the ones are Kassai, Benji, Rhinar, Kano, Kayo, Kassai, Aurora, Zen, Dorinthea, and that's OG Dorinthea. Well, sorry, Quicksilver Project's not legal, so it would just be Dorinthea. But I actually think that Benji's really good. I think Rhinar's really good. The KO, mass respect. You have no chance of getting through 8 rounds, but you could absolutely just clobber people. Kassai, I was actually surprised there was only one Kassai. I think Kassai is really good.
Yeah.
That was probably what I would have played. I'm talking OG Kassai.
Yeah, OG Kassai. I actually was, had I gone, I was ready to go with Dromai.
Yeah. But
I was aching with the decisions before I can go. I was like, should I go OG Kassai though? Should I do that?
Yeah.
That was my struggle there. And I'm surprised she wasn't represented. I thought she could do really well.
Yeah. But if we look at it, right, again, with the breakdown that we had, that obviously Icelander, even though she's a wizard, does run a lot of poppers. So we have Ira poppers, Icelander poppers, Dash poppers, Oldhim poppers, Betsy poppers, Victor poppers, Database Dash definitely running payloads. Like that's her jam. Terra poppers. Other than that, and to be fair, if you're going into Commoner and you're not including at least like two, at this point it would be Findall's yellow over Raging Onslaught, right? Would be but you're probably packing at least 2 poppers.
You have to have
because of the threat of Prism. But now my point of that was it looks like she would have been pretty good into the field in retrospect.
Yeah.
And then now the fact that we've seen, at least from a competitive standpoint, that folks aren't bringing Illusionists at all, do folks dial off of the popper sideboard, making Illusionists better? Right, it's the whole metagame thing.
That is the most prominent cycle of, I don't know what you call it, but playing for the meta, playing against the meta. And do you leave it at home? Do you leave the Findalls at home? Do you leave the Raging Bulls at home? I don't know. I think the one Prism might have surprised some people, which would have been me. Or the Dromai.
I thought you said you were going to take Dromai.
Yeah, I would have taken Dromai. And I think Dromai would have done real well. But Dromai always has 2 poppers no matter what, because I always think it's good.
I like the fact that Dromai can throw bombs and then also set up a rake.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's
the absolute dream. You need the big fat attacks, and then the pings, and then the go wides. The Blaze Headlongs are there, of course, one of the better cards in the whole game.
If you run up against somebody with no poppers, off of a blue and 2 cards, you can throw a 5 go again into an 8.
Yep. Yeah.
And you have multiple pass whippers to do that. That's pretty good.
I feel like I've had really good games like that with her, where it ends up being, I never go the full distance in the crawls, but it ends up being like I had a really
You've top 4'd several times. We've had your Dromai deck featured several times in our top 4s.
I think once that I can remember. Again, I was 4 or 5 in. I play better when I'm 4 or 5 in.
Rounds. It's rounds.
Rounds. Yeah.
Oh, you can determine rounds of what?
Sorry. Yeah. But I feel like I'm always like middle of the road, which is a really interesting spot. I was talking to one of our other personnel about that, Mr. Kevin Sett.
Who's that? Nobody knows who Kevin is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everybody loves Kevin.
He's the mascot. He's the fab mascot. I was telling him, I think it's so weird. I always end up middle of the road. I feel like I'm never at the, I don't know, but never at the top. But I feel like Dromai has a really solid spot in the middle of the meta for Commoner, and I think
probably fair.
I feel like it's unexplored, and that of course interests me. I don't want to go with the favorite all the time, even though Prism was, the favorite among many.
Well, so then putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
I mean, you've told us what your personal choice is in terms of what you want to play, which is, again, what we encourage at Commoner. But putting you on the spot, who's the better hero in Commoner? Is it Prism or is it Dromai?
It's Dromai.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I honestly think Prism for me, and again, I don't play her correctly. I don't play any of these correctly. I just play them. The way I play her, I feel like she, without tailoring it, will always have the tools. She will always have the sigil of, what is it? It's the sigil of Solace? No, it's
no, it's a rare still.
Yeah, no, it's there is an illusionist sigil that's a common. It's Ward 4 or something.
You're talking sand cover.
No.
Oh.
No, sand cover is amazing. Sand cover is and
that's the one that makes Ash take 4 for you.
Yes, that alone, by the way, she has the most. I don't know. She has the most diverse prevention. Right, as far as blocking and actual legitimate prevention, it actually helps her when she throws it away.
What sigil are we talking about? Actually,
there's a missive. There's a part that misfail Commoner sigil is something. That's a illusionist, and that just puts one extra over the top protection that she has. I think I'm getting the name wrong. I'm sorry.
It's a sigil?
It might not be that. That's it.
Sigil of Solitude.
Sigil of Solitude.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's
Got it.
That Sigil of Solitude.
Yeah.
By the way, the yellow version is in my Prism.
Sure.
It's such a good card. All I have to say is like Sigil of Solitude, a sand cover. It's got all the tools. It's got the pings. It's got the gold. Yeah, it's got all of that. And then it's got the big fat centipedes, something. And it's good. It's just I like that. It's a good all around. It's kind of the illusionist Aria, which it can't actually be that because Aria has, the variety of builds, and the Aria is probably the best in terms of like you can do whatever you want. The toolbox, right?
Yeah.
But Dromai has the most fun in trying to tailor what kind of attack she wants to do.
And we are shooting this on the day of the pre-release. The world premiere. Excuse me. Shooting this on the day of the world premiere.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe. She got some new toys. Maybe.
Yeah, I am.
But that's yet to be seen.
Yeah, we'll see. I haven't seen all of them. I'm so excited.
And we're talking Commoner. We already know what she's gotten on the big side.
Yeah. So she's gonna have something.
Anyway, friend, thank you for your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What I will do right now, if you've made it through this, and actually, to be clear, vast majority of people who are here looking for deck lists, they left 25 minutes ago or whatever we're at. But we will link a deck list. It's probably somewhere above Steve's head right now. Or link a video to one of his lists.
All those poor disappointed viewers. Like, Steve's thoughts are good. We don't want his deck list.
He's like, I just watched this and like, I'm not clicking on that deck list.
Not that guy again. Thanks for watching up to this point.
And go Commando.
Go Commando. Thank you, Andrew.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was good.